me see.
We got somebody for flags and all that.
If I'm I went like this. Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Northside Board of Trustees. Before calling this meeting to order, the board would like to take just a moment to briefly review some of the rules for conducting our meeting. It's important to note that on March 16th, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by the Attorney General to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to the coronavirus. I'll now ask Ms. McGee to call the roll of trustees.
Dr. Hall.
Present.
Ms. Freeman.
Present.
Mr. Medina.
Present.
Mr. Lopez.
Present. Present.
Ms. Chumley. Mr. Blunt.
Present.
Ms. Reed.
Present. In accordance with the suspended rules mentioned above, we certify the following. Notice that this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. We do have a quorum in attendance through in-person and virtual means. We are meeting in part by use of a software application which allows communication among trustees. As we would at any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice for registering to speak during the public comment portion or to address a specific agenda item will be limited to no more than 3 minutes to speak. All other meeting procedures will adhere to board-adopted procedures to the extent practical. An audio recording of this meeting is being made, and it will be available to the public at a later date. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties as we ask for your patience navigating these unprecedented conditions. The order of business for this meeting is set out in the agenda. One item that you may notice on the agenda is the consent agenda. This item includes items that are considered routine and/or are of a recurring nature. All the items listed under the consent agenda will be acted upon in one motion. The meeting will then be officially called to order. Please bow your heads. Please stand and bow your heads as Trustee Medina leads us in the invocation and pledges of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask you for your guidance and blessings upon this board, students, patrons, parents, teachers, and administrators, as we assemble here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Mr. Medina. We'll go ahead and start our meeting with the superintendent's report. Dr. Woods.
Thank you, Dr. Harrell, members of the board. A few things to report tonight. I'll start with just some notes about operations. As you know, our third cycle this year begins immediately after the winter break, immediately after the holiday. And given the rise in cases in San Antonio in recent weeks, while we had a small number of families express the desire, kind of a net number express the desire to come back to the building, we're going to hold off on that and we'll see how metrics look the week of the 4th before executing any of those moves. So just a little note about operations. We have been able to do a limited number of holiday events, and actually you're going to see some evidence of that tonight in the video moment. And as you know, we've been able to continue for the most part with our athletic events. And I know it's been said at these meetings before, but I want to thank the folks in athletics and the folks in fine arts for doing really fine work on protocols that keep students and staff safe and bring a little bit of normalcy to the school experience for our students. So I think that's really important. Thanks to Naomi Miller, our Director of Governmental Relations, we've had some, I think, really high quality events with legislators, members of our delegation recently. I was able to do kind of a moderation of a conversation sponsored by Raise Your Hand Texas and some of our delegation, as well as the Bexar County group met with our legislators. And obviously we have a session with the members of the delegation coming up soon. And I think what I would say is I generally hear from the delegation is I don't hear despair, frankly. I hear relative positive attitudes, especially with regard to public education and the progress we made under House Bill 3. I hear a lot of, we'll see what the comptroller says, the day before the session begins. But I don't hear a lot of despair, and I think that's good news. That's a positive sign. So speaking of kind of political things that are impacting us, you know that this board put a lot of effort into advocating for hold harmless for school districts in the early part of the fall semester. And some of that advocacy was successful, and indeed we got the hold harmless extended through the first 18 weeks of the school year, which actually goes into the first 2 weeks of January for us. However, there has not been any movement since then, any movement in the direction we would want anyway. And that is a concern. That is a concern to virtually every school district in our state from a financial perspective. I will say on the flip side of that coin, I had alerted the board many weeks ago that because of the federal waivers for free and reduced lunch, that there really weren't incentives for families to do what they would do in a normal fall, which is fill out the form to access that benefit. Through a lot of hard work on the part of principals and staffs at schools, we've gotten our free and reduced lunch percentage almost up to what it was a year ago. And so don't anticipate a large financial hit on that front. And then lastly, kind of on the political front, I'll say, and I know you've seen this, but just a reminder that last week we got notice that accountability ratings for schools will be on hold again this spring. They will not be issued this spring. And I think that that's a wise decision. I think it's very good news. We will continue to give the test. I know you've seen that. And I've been pretty clear in saying that folks are going to have to understand what are reasonable expectations for that. While we will get some data from students who take the test, using that data to evaluate a teacher or a school district will be absolutely nonsensical. And folks are going to have to understand that it's going to have highly limited value this year. I want to make some comments related to some of the financial news I gave before. And as you can see, the picture is still pretty murky. When this board passed our budget in August of 2020, we included in that motion very specific language as it deals with compensation that allows this board to come back at a later date and consider some kind of addition to compensation. So in January, we will get, the comptroller will issue a revenue estimate, and we will be able to use that to a degree as proxy for what will happen perhaps in the legislative session. After that is issued, I hope to bring a recommendation to this board at the January meeting in that regard, but it will not happen before then. There's been some solid efforts, I think, on the part of a lot of the public ed groups to advocate for teachers and other school staff to be prioritized in the order of offering vaccines in our state. We're going to actually ask the board to consider a resolution to that effect this evening. that would lend your support to that effort. And I just wanted to highlight what I believe is really good work there. Thanks to Mrs. Reed, who is coming off the ACOG board, but was a part of the committee that decided folks who would get recognized by ACOG this year. And we were among those recognized for our partnership with the food bank to feed millions of meals in the last several months. And I want to highlight on our side, Don Schmidt, who's kind of taken point on that through all these months. So thanks, Mrs. Reed, and thanks to Don Schmidt for that recognition. Was able recently on a kind of a cold, rainy Saturday to be a part of the Blue Santa event over at Gus Stadium, and really enjoyed, as I do with food bank distributions, being able to meet a need. We saw lots of little people come by in vehicles and get gift cards that the families would be able to use to put presents under the tree this year. So that was really a nice, heartwarming event. So I'll just close with, to the members of our board and our audience, thanks to all of you for your support in 2020. It has been an interesting year. I don't know that any of us will be sad to see it go, but that doesn't mean that I'm not and we're not appreciative of everything that you've done, especially in the last 9 months since the challenge of COVID began. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone. So I'll end, Dr. Harrell, with a little compilation of holiday performances, some in small groups and some are solo.
Oh, my gosh.
And the biggest gift of all is that nobody had to listen to me sing. So that, Dr. Harlan's report.
Ooh. Boy, that just filled everyone's bucket. I know, that is awesome. And I wish our kids could see how grateful we are and how proud we are of them. Are there any board member reports? And I'll kind of pick on Bobby and Gerald since you are Zooming with us. If one of you'd like to go first.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Harrell. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you very much to the Fine Arts Department. And it just so happens I'm wearing my Fine Arts t-shirt that they gave us today. So that was a coincidence. But thank you to James and his department, and to all our teachers, our band teachers, our theater teachers, our our teachers, for putting that piece together. Like you said, it filled my bucket. This has been a challenging year for us, and so this just really refilled it for me. I haven't had a chance to participate in any of the activities this year, earlier this past month, but I have kept up with some of the issues and things like that. But I do want to share with you, I also want to let you guys know, I want to wish you all a happy and Merry Christmas and a safe New Year's this year, being that this is our last meeting until next year. Please be safe, and I wish all our staff and students and their families of Northside a safe holiday season this year. And that's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
And I just said, just two quick items. Last time I said I wouldn't bring the book up anymore, but I'll bring it up because it's out for everybody to review, and send it to every single board member in Bexar County. And Dr. Willis is going to make sure the superintendents get in, and all the PIOs and everybody else. So we've got everybody reviewing it this week. So I think it's looking pretty good, but appreciate everybody's support, and hope y'all get a chance to also look and make whatever comments that you have for it too. The only other thing we want to bring on is thanks definitely, and I'm sure all board members say this to all of our staff and everybody else. The more I talk to others and the more I see this going on here, Northside is doing a lot through these challenges and continues things going in a positive direction. So it's very good to see and very refreshing, especially when you hear some of the challenges that others face. I want to pass that on and wish everybody, similar to what Gerald did, a happy holiday season. Let's make it a good one. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Bobby. Katie? Ms. Reed?
Sure. Couple of things. The event with ACOG was very interesting because we had so many people that made presentations or to be recognized dealing with what has happened during the COVID pandemic. That we as a committee could not pick one or even two. So we decided to award them all because of the efforts that they gave. And that dealt with one person by herself. Another one was a couple that have done tremendous amount of work too. And then of course there's people like Northside who went with the food bank and served meals to thousands of people. It was a meaningful event. I was sorry that there were so many that they put the writing on a screen and it wasn't formally announced in order to make, not to take so much time because we had so many of them. But I hope that everybody thought it was a good event. A couple of other things that I've sort of been involved with. I think I told you once about the fact that our church was making picnic tables for the schools. And we got an update on that. They had two events that they made 70 huge picnic tables with benches. And they went to our school so that they could have classrooms outside. That was when the weather was still nice. And I just have to really thank them for doing that. And a lot of the people that worked to help put them together were our students from Clark High School and from Brandeis High School, because that's kind of the neighborhood that area serves. They also have a great relationship with Rawlinson Middle School. and actually are making baskets and things for the needy people out in that area. And that area did not used to be a needy area, but now it has a lot of apartment complex of the students, and the people that live in that area are very different than it was at one time. And they've realized that, and so they're partnering with that school as well. Today I was actually over at the Salvation Army for their annual meeting with their advisory board. In case you don't know, I've actually been with a volunteer with the Salvation Army longer than I have been with the school district, because they do wonderful work in this community, and they're giving out toys and clothes for the people that signed up for, what did I say, 7,000 families this year. Plus, they also elected to serve things for senior citizens who were needy as well. So they are over at the event center over on Marbach Road. And if you ever want to go over and work and help, they need help right now, because they used to have a lot of companies that sent groups of people to work, such as USAA sent a whole bunch of people. Now, a lot of different, but they're not, none of those people are doing that now. And they're struggling real hard right now to get all of those things put together, because the handout is Thursday and Friday. So, but it's worthwhile just to go over and see it, because it's huge what they're doing over there. And it's not only, they have a family stuff in a box that's this square and about this deep, and they'll have a bag for each of the kids in there for the things that they have. And then also sometimes there's something on the wall over at the far end of the room, and that would be a bicycle. They have hundreds and hundreds of bicycles over there, and they're all brand new that people have donated. Organizations like that impact a lot of the people that live in Northside, and we just need to continue to be supportive of them. Hopefully, a lot of you will be tuned in tomorrow for the meeting with our state legislators that we will be hosting. And if you see that in your packet, your green packet, there's a list of the people that are going to be participants so far as our legislators are concerned. It's all going to be online, and we will allow them to have some time to talk about what their concerns are, and then we will ask them questions, and Naomi is going to give them our legislative updates. So we would love to have all of you there if you can possibly do it. It's just 1 hour. It's from noon till 1 o'clock. It should be on your lunch break. So please see if you can't make it. And that's all I have for today. Thank you, and Merry Christmas. And the little bags that are on the table for you all are from me, in case there's not a name tag on it. Some of them have name tags on it, but I forgot to write the names on them. So
Thank you so much, Katie. And just real quick, on the format tomorrow, there will be an opportunity for trustees to ask questions.
yes, there will.
Thank you. Just,
Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
So, real quickly, again, the community is made up not only of, those that live in our district, but live in our district are also our teachers. And, looking at from the lens as a parent through the Zoom meetings and having dialogues, whether it's sporting events or fine arts, they're doing a tremendous job. And I want to make sure our teachers and our staff, whether it's custodians and our administration, that they truly do take time for themselves during this holiday season and with their loved ones. Definitely, it has been a year, one, to remember, but also a time for hope, a time to start planning for New Year's resolutions and moving forward and setting goals for the 2021 year. With that said, I also wanted to do a plug for our athletic department. We have 3 teams that are still competing in district play, or actually in regional playoffs, or that'll be our football teams, including Taft, Stevens, and Brennan. Unfortunately, they're all competing, but we're wishing them hope and success down in Corpus Christi. Lastly, again, I wanted to recognize the students that did perform for us during this holiday season. I mean, it is meaningful, but you know, it pays dividends. I'm gonna kind of remember the faces and remember the sounds. It's well received. And with that said, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Karen?
Thank you, Dr. Harrell. Yes, the student performances, though we saw them on the big screen, were just, it just filled your heart. And I was thinking about it as I was coming here, wondering if we would be able to, obviously we can't have a lot of kids in here. We normally have a choir that comes and performs for us at this particular meeting. And because of the situation that we're in, we don't have that. And so I really appreciate y'all bringing that to us. It's a great way to start out this, this meeting and to end this year. Some of you all may know Jim Crow has officially announced his retirement. He's been the executive director for the Texas Association of School Boards for 25 years now. And I know that Katie was on the board, the Texas Association of School Boards, before Jim had been appointed as or been hired as the executive director. He served us well. He's a wonderful man. He'll be with us through a transition. He's agreed to stay until the end of August. So all of us wish him well, and he will be deeply missed. Certainly big shoes to fill. And I'll be brief with my next few remarks. I got to tell you, I can't go without saying that I was deeply hurt by the article in the paper yesterday depicting Northside as there was a comment made that by an organization that was quoted in the paper as Northside was a shadowy place. There's school districts here in the San Antonio area because we weren't or had not yet talked about stipends and bonuses for our employees. As Dr. Woods had said, we had planned on talking about that when we could ensure that this school district was financially sound now and for the future. The people that I work with here on this board, Dr. Woods, I was channeling Dr. Folk somewhere. Dr. Woods and staff, we work extremely hard to show appreciation for our teachers and our staff and to take care of them. In fact, when we talked about compensation back in the spring, the last salary structure that we looked at, Northside was at the very top. We were actually second to the highest in all of the school districts in the area, and we're proud to say that. And the last time this district experienced budget cuts, we did well because we had been fiscally responsible, and it is our job to continue to do this. I want to ensure that our employees that currently are with us, that we deeply appreciate all that you do, especially during these really difficult times. We're never going to be able to compensate all of you for everything that you do. But please know that the decision that this board makes are to ensure the stability of this district, again, as I said, now and for the future. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and best wishes however you celebrate this holiday season. Blessings to all. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Karen. Ms. Chumbley?
So first off, it's been an interesting Thanksgiving to now. So one of my sons tested positive with COVID, and I had been around him. And so, but fortunately, we had practiced very safe standards of, trying to stay 6 feet apart, I was wearing an N95 mask and, all of that. But to just be on the safe side, I ended up quarantining for 10 days at an extended stay hotel. And I guess I always try to find silver linings, and I guess one of them is that absence does make your heart fonder, because I think my husband actually missed me very much. So that was probably one good thing that came out of it. But, the reason I'm just sharing that with you is that it was stressful for those first couple of days, thinking that I could actually get sick. It was stressful, but then I felt better that, really using the rules that we have told or asked our staff to use, and using the rules, following those rules, I didn't get sick, and anyone that was around him didn't get sick either. So it turned out okay, but it was stressful. And so I just share that because I understand how our staff is still scared and a little fearful of it, because it was for a few days kind of a scary time. But it came through okay. I wanted to thank you, Joseph, for talking about the athletics. I wanted to thank Harlan. I feel really bad for those kids and with them having to forfeit the playoff game. But I just want to tell you, I want to do a shout out to those athletes and those coaches, Coach Salas and Mr. Harris, and those athletes' parents. They handled that with so much grace and put the well-being of others ahead of everything else. And I just, I thought it was just a tremendous learning opportunity for our athletes. But I just was really impressed with the way that everyone responded to that. Karen, it's so funny that you were saying that about that article. So I've tried to make it a point over the last 8 months to not really pay much attention to social media, and really truly to try to find silver linings. And so I really like the Northside Tweet, the Twitter account that I'm on, because they just talk really positive about all the acts of kindness that our schools and our staff and our kids are doing. And so I made the mistake of looking at social media over the last few days. And I was really surprised at some of the comments, because I think back to when all of this started. And one of the things that we said is, number one, we were going to be focused on making sure that we were maintaining the educational standards and made a commitment to our kids to get our kids through from an academic standpoint. And the other commitment we made was that we were going to do everything we had to do from a financial standpoint, that we did not have to RIF any of our staff. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've come through now since March, and we haven't had to do that. And I know that we sometimes get beat up a little bit about being too conservative or, acting in that manner, but I think that has really stood this district to good stead. And Brian, I want to thank you and Renee for following through with that. And I know that all of us have had pressure to try to make a statement right now about stipends to talk about that piece of it. But I think that we've really kept our eye on the ball in relation to trying to work to keep up our academic standards as much as possible, and to make sure that we preserve all of our staffs, not just our teachers, but all of us, custodians, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, that we retain all of those people that we are responsible for. And so I'm going to go back to just looking at the Northside Twitter feed and seeing all of the wonderful acts of kindness that are being done in our schools. That video that we saw tonight, Brian, what a great pick. It was wonderful. We have such amazing kids, and isn't it just something that even with everything that's happening, you still see such passion and such joy and, belief that things are going to get better, and they will be. I believe that. So with that, I just want to say Merry Christmas and wish all of you the very best holiday. In fact, everyone here and all of our staff, that you have a Merry Christmas, and maybe just take some time. Brian, I found this gift the other day and I thought I should buy it for you. It was a cell phone cage, and you actually put your cell phone in it and then you locked it and gave the key to your wife. And I was thinking that even if we had to go to that straight to get your cell phone away from you, but I hope that all of us will take some time to put our cell phones down and really appreciate the family and the love that we have, and all of God's blessings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, board, so much. I'm so proud of each and every one of you and honored to be part of this board, because one thing that rings true, not just this time of year, but every day of the year, is how much we care about our kids and our employees. And it's so nice to be able to hear all the love and good spiritedness from our board. And I do want to say we have the Alcorta family here. We're waiting for Marisa Perez to come. So your kids are doing such a great job being so patient. So she's on her way. She's almost here. So we'll celebrate that. But I do want to say that this is the time of year that we celebrate our blessings and we express gratitude and we share good tidings. And my own grandchildren, the other day, we were making these power pancakes, but that's another story. And we had Christmas music on, and my grandson said, "Grandma, what does tidings mean? What are good tidings? And what are tidings?" And I said, "Well, what does that word remind you of?" And he goes, "I don't know. I don't know any word that's like tidings." So, you do the school teacher thing. Tidings are good words. They're things like, bless you. How are you? Take care of yourself. Good job. Those are good tidings. He goes, "Oh, okay, we do that at school. We practice that at school. We say good tidings, but we do empathy." And I go, "Oh, okay, I like empathy. Empathy's a good word." So anyway, I know our teachers and staff and all employees have worked so hard providing the best learning experiences for our kids. I know that firsthand. Nico is a Northside kiddo. But they also take care of each other and provide the best experiences. And Ms. Chumley shared so many of these incredible experiences that are on Twitter. They're all positive. They're all wonderful. They're all rich in building teams and building good spirit and positivity. These experiences have always focused on gifting our children with positive relationships, caring social and emotional support, and other forms of support like food, school supplies, clothing, but most of all, love and care. Our schools and families have been fostering and modeling empathy, kindness, safe health practices, and much more. This has been on top of delivering rich content lessons, sorry, it's hard to breathe, and activities. Because of these exemplary and heartfelt actions, it's hard to read or see, as my grandkids call it, Grinchy tidings now, in the paper or on social media or in emails in ways that we'd never want to model for our children. However, our team of 8 continues to recognize how vital and special the entire district family is, and will always put them at the forefront of all our decisions. On behalf of our team of 8, though, I do want to wish the most wonderful holiday season. I know we'll appreciate this holiday season probably more so than any other holiday season in history. And I wish you and all of you in this room and at home and in our Northside family peace, love, joy, and most of all, good tidings.
Sure.
Yes, Ms. Reed.
Wanted to mention that we have a past board member that has joined us.
Oh, hi, Mr. Britton. How are you? Ho, ho, ho. Welcome. Did you bring good tidings? Okay, sir. Thank you. All right, we will move on, and we want to recognize Mateo. And so I'm going to just give Ms. Perez a few more minutes. Is that okay? Can you hold on for a few more minutes longer? Okay, I know you smell that Whataburger, but we'll get you. I know. And Mateo's brother. I love it. All right, so we'll move on to citizens to be heard. And let me read the rules for addressing the board. We believe citizens to be heard is important and meaningful, and we will listen to what you have to say. We value your opinions, although we are restrained from law by taking any action at this time. Please address your remarks to the board. Confine your remarks to a Northside policy or practice. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, Mr. Medina will, well, at 2 minutes, Mr. Medina will hold up a yellow card. And at 3 minutes, you will be asked to wrap up your remarks by the signal of a red card. Do not make any personal attacks on individuals, please. Thank you. So our first person to speak is?
Alexandra Marquez.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I imagine that at this point in the year, given our circumstances, you are no stranger to public criticism, something in which our teachers have long endured. My concern, however, is that teachers do not seem to have the support of their leadership. In the summer, Dr. Woods publicly stated he would see TEA in court if they threatened funding from districts for safe reopenings, but not a peep about it since, perhaps because it served its purpose, assuring families that schools would be safe. Our public metrics indicate that schools should be virtual with very few students on campus, yet the district ignores its priority data, local health recommendations, and keeps buildings open. Our district says our schools are safe, yet there's been a rise in cases throughout the district and city. Campuses assure us COVID cases are being tracked accurately, yet virtual students are not. So students on campus that switch to virtual and later test positive are not counted. These same virtual students are also allowed to come onto campus and interact with other students for athletics or fine arts events. Contact tracing is inadequate and is not based on the most recent health guidelines. Teachers, such as myself, that have been identified as a contact are told to red screen, but still come to work, despite Northside policies saying we should be quarantining. And yet because of this, we're also turned away from attending or working district events off campus. Teachers are kept in the dark about the status of their students, despite FERPA and NISD's handbook giving them school official status to be allowed these updates, including health updates. ADA and HIPAA do not apply. Northside denied ADA accommodations to all teachers with no opportunity to collaborate on solutions. Northside assured adequate PPE to campus staff, yet teachers didn't see plexiglass until several weeks into the school year. Some campuses received moldy wipes. Initial COVID vaccines will only be 54% effective, so they are not a sound solution to these issues. The solution must come from us, the Northside family. Decisions will be based on data and science, not politics. Times of crisis illuminate who the true leaders are in any organization. Well, I found my true leaders. They're the men and women working alongside me. They're the teachers, the paras, the secretaries, the custodians, the cafeteria workers, and department coordinators. They're the people who show up on campuses every day. They're the ones who supplemented our district budget with their own technology and Wi-Fi at home during school closures. They're the people who have given their time, their resources, their money, their health, their tears, and their enduring compassion to their students. They're the people who have withstood the abuse of being lied to, falsely reassured, inadequately supported, and underpaid while overworked. As you discuss our request for a retention bonus, consider the additional unpaid minutes that were added to our contract time. Consider the resources that teachers provided during our closures. Consider the health risks teachers and their families are undertaking. Consider the demands that have been placed on teachers during an unprecedented time in their careers. A retention bonus is not very much, but certainly is the least that can be done to demonstrate appreciation to your full-time staff. So where other districts fail to support, protect, and pay their teachers, how will Northside choose to stop playing politics and show its true leadership?
Rochelle Molina.
Good evening. My name is Rochelle Molina, and I started my teaching career Northside August 1998. Excuse me, 1998. I was 23 years old, and I was proud to be hired in the best school district in Texas. 2+ decades later, I'm the proud director of bands at Dr. Joe J. Bernal Middle School. This year has been very different, to say the least. I do feel that many of our students are thriving, and I'm personally very grateful for my in-person students. Teaching solely through Zoom was very difficult, and the lack of face-to-face with my students was in many ways soul-crushing. As an educator, I am torn between delivering high-quality in-person instruction and teaching virtually. I have had success virtually, but nothing compares to in-person instruction, as you well know. With that being said, the daily personal toll this year has taken on not only myself, but many of my colleagues has been great. I tested for COVID the day before Thanksgiving and felt so fortunate to get the negative results about an hour and a half before our Thanksgiving dinner. I have a 69-year-old Down syndrome uncle and a 78-year-old mother that I have not been able to be in the same room with for over 8 months. We were so grateful to eat Thanksgiving dinner together outside, still with masks. I was able to hug my uncle and my mom for the first time since March. The teachers and the school work staff have sacrificed this year like never before. We have shown up to our place of work daily. We have done our jobs with smiles on our faces and optimism in our voices. Many of us have relearned how to teach our subjects and in many ways have had to redefine our subjects to properly fit this year. All of our extra work has not been compensated. Our salaries are not 6 figures. I am single, and that yearly step raise is critical for me to be able to afford life's necessities. You have not talked about a retention bonus. Retention bonuses are being given out in almost all surrounding school districts. You have said on many occasions that Northside is the promised land. After this year, you can no longer say that in good conscience. It blows my mind that you refuse to meet with Northside AFT. Do you not understand that they are advocating for your teachers and work staff? I cannot comprehend why you wouldn't want to put your work staff first. With no work staff, you do not have a district. Do not think that we are too busy to not notice. Do not think that we are not talking about this. And do not think that when the COVID dust settles, we will not remember how you treated us. We deserve our step raise and we deserve a bonus. We understand this has been the most trying year for public education, and we understand your position has been difficult. It seems you have caved to the pressures of Texas politics and TEA. Do the right thing and put your teachers and work staff first. Release the money that was promised to us last year. Award a retention bonus. We deserve it like never before. Thank you for your time.
Melina Espiritu Azucar.
I just want to remind us that applause is not necessary, please. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to start out by saying that we're here tonight in person putting our health at risk because there's not been allowances for the board for virtual comments. Northside AFT continues to advocate on behalf of our members, and we would like to again request the opportunity to meet with Dr. Woods, members of the board, and if we like we were in a shadowy place. My name is Melina Espiritu Azucar, and I'm the lead organizer with Northside AFT. I am here tonight to ask that the board and Dr. Woods vote on a retention bonus for the hardworking staff of this district. We have over 600 signatures on a petition that we'll be presenting to the board in January, and we hope to continue to grow this number. This petition asks that the district and the board vote on a retention bonus of at least $1,000 for full-time employees of the district. Northside AFT has continued to hear from our members about the hardships from this pandemic has brought on them. Teachers, librarians, counselors, custodial and maintenance staff, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, teacher assistants, and more are feeling the burden of this pandemic. They are working harder than ever before, and teachers are putting in the kind of hours that are simply unsustainable. Our members have continued to reach out to us to express their health and safety concerns, to express their frustration, to not feeling like the district is listening to them, to express how they feel undervalued and replaceable. This is unfortunate sentiment that we hear from our members. It is time to show them that they are valued and to follow the steps that the district across the cities have taken, and to at least give them a $1,000 bonus. For a working teacher, instructional aide, custodian, or cafeteria staff, and many other full-time staff, that $1,000 means that they may be able to afford an extra special meal, pay off or catch up on a bill, or provide something for their families that they have not been able to do before. These folks are literally putting their lives and health on the line every day. $1,000 won't change that for our staff that goes to work every day, afraid that they could potentially bring a deadly virus to their families, but it will at least let them know the district values their sacrifice. Northside American Federation of Teachers hopes that this board decides to do what is right for the employees of the district and to show them that they are appreciated. We also continue to call upon the district to follow the Metro Health Directive, to consider the safety of our students and staff during the surge of COVID cases. Last week alone, 141 students and a total of 206 Northside family had COVID. This number should shock anyone, and Dr. Woods and this board must do what is right to keep the family, students, and staff of Northside safe. Thank you.
Letta Arcelis.
Good evening, NISD School Board. My name is Leda Arcelus. I am an AFT member, and I sit on the executive board for this teacher union. I'd also like to add that I am a second grade dual language educator at Knowlton Elementary. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Also, I'd like to thank you for your work and dedication to our district. I want to preface my talk with saying that what I'm about to share is from an NISD teacher. She or he prefers to stay anonymous, and I have volunteered to share on their behalf. Dear Dr. Woods and the members of the NISD School Board, I wanted to share my story as a teacher from Northside. I was one of the lucky few who was able to work from home when students returned to campus. I am an individual with high-risk medical conditions as it relates to COVID-19. I stayed home working many hours on the computer to help my classroom and team be prepared. I would work 12-hour days. When the first quarter finished, I was asked if I would go back. I feel like I didn't have a choice. Either I go back to campus or I go on FMLA. I couldn't go on FMLA because I'm the breadwinner of my household. My husband has been unemployed since March. When I went back in October, there were 14 students in my classroom, yet only 11 had plexiglass. I have been diligent with making sure my classroom is clean often and masks are worn properly. Being high risk, I couldn't take the chance of getting sick. In early December, I woke up with a headache, stuffy nose, and a cough. I let my principal and school nurse know. I was told to stay home, and I decided to get tested on my own. I tested positive for the coronavirus. A high-risk teacher with diabetes and hypertension. I couldn't believe that it had happened. I've been so careful. I let my principal and my school nurse know, and the benefits department know, and I sent in my results. I was told I would come back to work in 10 days, which included the weekends. I wouldn't need to have a test done, just as long as I was symptoms-free for 24 hours. 4 days before I was scheduled to go back to work, I had to be taken to the hospital. I couldn't take a deep breath. I had an x-ray done, and I was told now I have pneumonia along with COVID. I was sent home from the hospital with medication, and I pray I'm on the road to recovery. I've worked harder this year than any other year that I have taught. I had to reinvent the wheel to help my fellow teachers, classroom, and students be successful. I've had to ask for guidance from my reading specialists, math specialists, LSTs, counselors, administrators, and the benefits department. I've had to ask what to do. I had to be the one to reach out. I've been the one on the front line with the students. I have been drowning in a job that I love to do. I am in the promised land without being paid the money I am due. I am working, but I haven't received my bump in pay. I haven't received information or compensation for the extra 15 minutes that I work daily. Our motto is back together better. Yes, I'm back at work in person. Together, then why do I feel alone? Better? Yes, we can be better, much better. Our promised land should include better pay and working conditions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's it. All right, we will now move to consent agenda, but I want to double check. No, okay.
Is she almost here?
No, she's, we're Miss Pettis.
Is she driving?
Pretty close? She's right at the light. Okay, well, we can do consent agenda. Mateo, thank you for being so patient. A couple more minutes, okay, honey? Thank you very much. At least you get to see what a board meeting's like, right? Yeah, yay.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really what he wants, I'm
I
sure.
know, I know, I know. All right, so.
Dr. Harrell, I
can-
move approval of the consent agenda.
Let me go ahead and get back into that screen too. Okay, is there a motion before the board approving consent agenda, or are there any items that need to be discussed or pulled? Okay, Ms. Reed moved approval.
Second.
There's a second. Ms. Chumley seconded. All vote. Dr. Harrell, yes. Ms. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Gerald?
Yes.
Ms. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Blunt?
Yes.
Ms. Reed? All right, the ayes have it. The consent agenda has been approved, and now we are moving to recognitions. So, yes. Mateo, can you tell me, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What school are you at? You're at Elrod Elementary? And what grade are you in? 4th grade. Oh my goodness. And what's your little brother's name? Say it again. Simon. Oh my gosh. So we have Mateo and Simon and your mom and dad. And look who's here. Yes, Marisa, come on up. This is Marisa Perez. She's the State Board of Education member, and she's here to give you a special award.
Hi there, Mateo. So, I'm sorry, I'm going to move this a little bit. Thank you all so much. And I want to begin by saying thank you for your grace. We had a family emergency, unfortunately.
Oh.
But I could not miss seeing Mateo. And so, Mateo, would you join me up here, please? I'm going to try to do this without crying because I have to share that it took a lot to get here. COVID has really stopped a lot of interaction with us here in person, but your application really spoke to me. I think that it's a beautiful thing when anybody does something for others, but to be in 4th grade and to be so selfless and to take time out of playtime or time with your family to create masks for families across not just the country, but internationally, I think is a beautiful thing. And for me personally, it hit home because I lost an aunt to COVID over this break. And so it's just a beautiful thing when we see young leaders taking their own personal time to do for others. And so you have a huge bright future ahead of you, Mateo. And so thank you so much for your giving heart. Miss Salinas, you've raised a beautiful boy. Congratulations. And so on behalf of the Texas State Board of Education for District 3, I want to honor you with this plaque. And I'll read it really quickly. It says, the Texas State Board of Education congratulates Mateo Alcorta, J-Rod Elementary School, Northside Independent School District, 2020 Student Hero for District 3, for outstanding acts of kindness, charity, and selfless service toward others. Thank you so much for being a beautiful, and I know you're gonna go really far. And again, Ms. Salinas, you have a beautiful boy, and I hope that I can raise my children to be just as giving as you have of yours. So thank you so much. And I also have, I'm so sorry. I also have a resolution. I won't read it, it's quite long, but I did want to present this to you as well.
Oh my
so you
God.
can take this home. You can frame this. This is on behalf of the State Board of Education as well. And there is this is now written into the record for the state of Texas. And you are right there.
Woo!
So thank you so much. All.
Does he get to say something? Does he get to say something too?
He's hungry.
He doesn't get to say anything? Okay.
Okay, so what did they get?
Oh, I gave them, oh. All right, we will now move to facilities and operations, library graphics, and Mr. San Miguel.
Thank you, Dr. Harrell. It's wet. Okay. We have for you today a presentation for graphics for Wormley Elementary School. The 2014 bond program actually paid for and provided for the construction of the elementary school. And so to that point, a new library was constructed and presented the opportunity to provide interior graphics in a feature element. The graphic artist was employed to provide concepts and ultimately install the graphics and the construct the feature element. So this was presented to the building committee, and it was requested that we bring it to the full board for approval. And with us today is Ms. Mary Ann Coons from Sign Resource Management that's going to give us a brief presentation on the graphics.
Dr. Harrell, you and Joseph both had questions about this at the last building committee meeting where we looked at this, and so that's why I've asked that it come back so that y'all can see.
Thank you.
Building committee had discussion on it and felt that they had listened to what we had said, but again, I really want you and Joseph to have a look as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll just walk through the pages that you have in front of you as well as what's on the screen, and anytime there's questions, feel free to ask. This first area identifies the locations on the floor plan for where these graphics are going to be. Next slide. This is what we're proposing for the entrance to the library. It's a film, so it'll have some sheerness to it, have a sort of a sense of sky, simple identification for the library as you walk in. This is the view that you'll see when you walk in. You'll face the main wall on the left, and then what we call the imagination wall grouping to the right. The left side, which is considered a feature wall, it's based on the idea of past, present, and future, which came expression from, I think, primarily Dr. Wormley. It was really a collaborative effort with the principal and library department as well. But the schoolhouse that you see on the upper right is actually the schoolhouse that Dr. Wormley attended. So we use that as the feature image in our past illustration. And then that was the main point for this slide. We'll have more on this whole wall on the next slide. So this is broken down in pieces. What you're looking at now is what's going to be actually mounted on the wall. And so it's not the full feature yet. So on the left, you're seeing the past imagery, which is a young girl about to enter the schoolhouse. And then on the right side, we're looking at the future images. And as we go forward, it'll make a little more sense of what those images are portraying. So now we have a center feature, which is actually a dimensional feature that is featuring children on books, the whole overall writing theme is that books take you places, both in your imagination and in the thoughts of your future and experiences that you can have as you read. So this depicts children sitting on a book and having their own experiences. The little boy on the left in the red shirt is, his reading is about the past, and so he's interacting with the little girl from the past. The girl in the middle is our present girl, and she's reading and dreaming about what she might want to do when she grows up. So we're featuring music, a veterinarian, a astronaut. And then the boy on the right has a virtual glasses, and he's interacting with the boy of the future, and we've depicted a futuristic view of a library type setting using that virtual imagery, but we also have, maybe easier to see on your printout, but the boy at the very top is interacting with video presentations on the screen on the inside of the pod, but then we don't forsake the actual books that the girl on the right side is reading. The next pages break it down a little bit more. So now you're looking at the actual dimensional feature, which is separate from the wall covering itself. This is a little hard to, I don't think we can delve too much into the detail of this, but it just shows the view from the top down shows that the book projects out. And so there will be some dimension to it. There's bookshelves on either side. And we're also taking into consideration the ADA requirements that are part of a feature like this. So the center part, you've got the book, but then the children are panels, and they're going to have graphic prints mounted to panels. So if you look on the left side, the boy in the red, that he's a full separate image, and then the girl in the blue is a full separate image, then the boy in the green is another full image, and they'll be mounted on the book and appear just as you see on the facing view. And the little, we call them dream bubbles, that's her present imagination. They will also be separate panels, and they'll stand up off of the wall. So there'll be quite a bit of dimension as you view this piece, besides the wall covering itself. And that just gives a side view, so you get a little better feel for the dream bubbles sticking up at the top, and then the panels of the children, and then the book. And then there's a cloud feature on the bottom, which helps hide some of the structural support that goes into the piece. Now we're moving down to the right, which is called an imagination wall. And these were topics that we were requested to depict in this area to help further the idea of how books take you places and develop the imagination. And there were, I think the next slide will show the specific words that were chosen to be depicted on the left wall: wonder, connect, dream, achieve, and explore. And again, we're using a sort of a flying book type of a concept, begun on the feature wall, but they all carried over into the imagination walls. So the middle wall is the biggest one, and we'll get a close-up of that one. But you can see from this view how the background imagery interconnects from the middle wall to. So this is the middle wall, and we're featuring different vignettes of types of reading topics. Animals, zoo feature up on the upper left. In the middle is sports, boys playing football. On the right depicts the fairy tales. And we've worked together and based on some of the building committee suggestions to make sure we have a good mix of boys and girls and ethnic, I just lost that word, but so we have a kind of a typical, I guess, from old times princess. We also have a Hispanic princess up there on the green book. And the bottom left is two boys doing a science experiment. They're flying over a lab. And then in the middle, we have the history depiction featuring Texas history with a boy and a girl, Alamo in the background. And then on the right, we have an astronaut. Then on this wall, it's a combination of things. It brings in culture and language in a travel context, and that was something Mrs. Warnley specifically was interested in seeing depicted. So we have an international flavor to the left image and an artistic flavor to the right image. And the bottom image brings in technology with robotic programming of a drone between two children working together. And then that's the view. It's really sort of a cubby type area, and that's a view of all three walls. And we're back to the full room view. That's it.
Yes, are there any questions or comments or a motion before the board? Ms. Reed has moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Karen. All right, so all in favor? We'll do a roll call vote. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Medina.
Highlight.
Sure.
Were there were improvements, correct? Can you highlight what were some of the, because I know it's a little bit more vibrant, but it's also a little bit more relative. There was some of that, but to me, it's okay. I can track everything, and everything has a story to me. But can you kind of highlight what were some of the key upgrades that we saw before and after? I know it's been recommended and seconded, but
If we can go back to the, it was mostly in the imagination wall areas where we were requested to bring in a little bit more of a mix. If we can get a close-up of the middle wall, that one, what we did is we added the extra princess. That was one. We added another boy along with the lab, basically to show more of a collaborative effort. Was the primary direction, as well as a little mix of male, female, and ethnic. And we added the cowboy in the middle. And then on the right wall, we added a technology vignette for the robotics.
The original middle wall had one student, except for the football, I believe, per dream element, I think you're calling it. And so there was just one student. And so they've added that. One piece that I didn't remember, and I'm not against it, I like that you're saying it's fairy tales, but Carol, I remember you had some specific comments in relation to the princess piece, the princesses. And so I just wanted to make sure that we came back. But if you're talking about it as story tales, fairy tales, then that's, really gives it a different context than just princess.
Right. I understand the librarian uses these topically to help children understand where to find the different categories of books. And so fairy tales was one of the ones that they had requested us to include.
I did have a question, Brian. How much do we normally engage the namesake in murals? Because you've made comments several times about Carolyn, and in the past, I don't think that we've had quite as much input from the namesake in relation to, the only other one I can remember is Sarah McAndrews with the McAndrews Crest and Castle.
Yeah,
but outside of that, I just don't remember us having as much input from the namesake in relation to the graphics.
if the timing works out, we like to include the namesake. Sometimes there's a timing issue, which is why it may not happen every single time, but I think it is a nice thing to do.
Well, I like that you have her little schoolhouse and,
Right. This really came from the campus administration. And they just asked a question of Dr. Warnley, some of the things that she was thinking about, she was growing up, to bring some level of intimacy with the graphics to a real namesake, so to speak. So it doesn't always happen because we may not have the time to do that. And sometimes we just don't have a namesake.
Well, I like it. I mean, I think it's turned out, there's a few things from our conversation that I would still like to have seen changed. But Leroy, I know you told us that we need to move forward on this,
Right.
that because the school's already
It's already open.
open.
So
And
we want to get Marianne to get started as soon as possible.
we need to get that done on it.
Thank you, Ms. Chumley. The only thing I was going to add to that is, you know, I'm just wondering how often the students are asked what is most valuable to them as far as what they would like to see portrayed on a wall. And if, you know, maybe it's just something to think about for our namesakes in the future, that they walk some schools, because you walk into Colonies North and you see every kid from every nation in the world. And there are turbans, there are shawls, there's all kinds of cultural representations of who they are, not just when they travel, but learning in the library. And I think we're becoming a nation that is flat in the way that we are recognizing that we are not all the same color or like the same things. And so I'm just wondering if that's something we could look at for the future, especially maybe choosing some schools that represent all our kids. So anyway, but I think it'll be fun for the kids. I think you're right, the timeline, we're kind of backed up. And I will tell you that my little granddaughter, if you ever tried to get her in a dress and say the word princess, she'd probably stab you with her plastic sword. But she's fighting dragons. So anyway, she's up there though. She's up there. So yeah, ponytail. Yeah, but thank you very much. Any other comments before we take a vote? Okay. All right, Dr. Harrell, aye. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Ms. Chumley?
Aye.
Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. The library's been approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let me double check. I think we're moving on to administration. Strauss Middle School attendance zone, Mr. Galindo.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Harrell, Dr. Woods, trustee. So last month we brought you the proposed school boundary for our newest middle school, which will open next year in August, Strauss, to primarily relieve folks. And so since then we had our community hearing, and with that report is Mr. Phelps, our SBAC chair, who will be reading that to you. As he makes his way up, I will say that this is the first time in my position that the respondents, of all the respondents we had, they are actually for the boundary. And so you'll see that we'll have that data for you, but very well received. And I think because of the growth out there, folks are understanding that we need to have this school and are looking forward to going to it. Mr. Phelps, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galindo. Good evening, Dr. Woods, Dr. Harrell, members of the board. My name again is Morgan Phelps, and I am the chair of the School Boundary Advisory Committee. I'm here this evening to present the School Boundary Advisory Committee's recommendation on boundary changes that would relieve Folks and Briscoe Middle Schools and populate Strauss Middle School. This proposal would move approximately 713 students from Folks Middle School and 107 students from Briscoe Middle School to the new Strauss Middle School located at 8992 Tally Road. As you know, each time we do this, we follow the decision principles that you have tasked the SBAC with, such as maintaining neighborhood integrity and reviewing all growth projections, program accommodations and student needs, cost effectiveness, and frequency of change for students. Some specific issues and public hearing information that occurred was prior to the hearing. Letters were mailed and sent via email to families of students in 5th through 7th grade who might be affected by the proposed boundary zone changes. The Folks and Briscoe principals also sent out a school messenger call to the families living in the proposed attendance area for Strauss, reminding them of the feedback form and public hearing information. 631 letters and emails were sent to students living in the Folks to Strauss proposal area. 94 letters and emails were sent to students living in the Briscoe to Strauss proposal. A public hearing was held at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, November the 10th at Harlan High School, with a total of 11 SBAC members attending. 1 adult and 3 children attended the hearing, and 15 others viewed the live stream presentation. Attendees, of course, do not include your staff members. The result of the community input, as you can see on the slide over here, was shared during the public hearing. As of November the 9th, the district received 28 comments from Folks households and no feedback from Briscoe households in the proposed boundary change areas to Strauss. Of the 28 responses, 19 of the proposal, 4 opposed, and 5 others asked questions or were undecided. We did not hear from approximately 96% of the families that received information about the boundary proposal. The general themes in the parent feedback included support for the Strauss Middle School boundary as proposed, favor for the close proximity of their neighborhood to Strauss, desire for 8th grade students to remain at Folks and receive transportation under the grandfather option, general questions about transportation as existed, and questions about available programs like GT and AVID. At the public hearing, no patrons signed up to speak to the committee and no patrons submitted questions to the staff. During the break, some staff members introduced themselves to the family who attended and provided phone numbers in case the family had questions or concerns later. For our deliberations as a committee, we listened to the presentation, took thorough notes, and then deliberated following the public hearing. We discussed the written correspondence and the merits of the concerns received in writing prior to the public hearing. As there were none expressed at the public hearing. Specifically, the discussions during our deliberations included the overwhelming number of comments supporting the proposed boundary change, lack of disapproval from any particular neighborhood or group, and lack of questions from those who attended virtually or from the one family in person. We recognize the parents' voices are significant and we heard them. The SBAC reviewed the written responses and all available data and based our decision on how they relate to the growth of Northside ISD. We looked at the effects of the recommendation and believe that these recommendations will serve the children of Northside well. We understand the discussion of the zoning impact on all children. And we also realize that this boundary proposal has considered those who may be impacted. We feel that our recommendations meet the needs of NISD while addressing overcrowding at existing schools and future growth issues. So for our recommendation for the boundary to Strauss Middle School as proposed, by a unanimous vote of 11 in favor, the SBAC recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the administrative proposal. The proposal as presented and recommended would affect 820 projected students in the Strauss Middle School attendance area effective August 2021.
Wow.
So as a committee, we respectfully submit this report to you here December 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps, as always.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Phelps and the committee. Incredible work. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions?
I have a comment.
All right, Ms. Reed.
This has obviously been looked at by the policy committee even before it went to you all, and I think we thought it was a pretty reasonable boundary and definitely an area that needs relief. So I would say thank you very much and make a motion that we approve
All right, Ms.
boundary
Reed
change.
has made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Medina has seconded. We will do a roll call vote. Dr.
Wait,
Harrell?
you ask for
Wait,
questions.
I'm sorry, Ms. Chumley.
No,
I
that's-
apologize.
Only thing that I'm concerned about, and Ray, you're right, this is probably one of the nicest looking boundary changes or boundaries that we've been asked to look at in a long time. It not quite as strange as the last one that we did on, I think, the elementary school. The only concern I've got is the percentage. We had talked about the percentage of kids, and when you talk to coaches, they'll all tell you, and I understand why they want it, that it'd be really nice to have a clean feeder pattern to a high school. Sure. And when you look at it, 93% is going to be Harlan from Folks, but you're going to have that 7% that's going to be O'Connor. And I just know from being the mother of a student that was that smaller percentage at a middle school that was going to the middle school that the rest of the school wasn't going to. You have to have a really dedicated high school coach that comes down and makes sure that those kids are included as well. And so I think that's just a comment I want to say, is that when we look at where we're making those kind of percentages differences on these middle schools, that maybe we just need to ask Stan to make sure that, the athletic piece of it is that both groups of students are given, a strong athletic preparation for high school. Because I know that that's not necessarily all that happens. A lot of times the kids that are the small percentage just go sit on the bleachers. And so, Brian, I just wanted to bring that up, if we cannot lose sight of that.
Yeah, we can convey that, not just on the athletic side, but on others as well. Yeah,
Duly
we can
noted.
share that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, thank you again, Mr. Phelps, and we will did we take a vote? Yeah, we did. All right. No, we didn't take a vote. Okay, good. I get so interested in what everyone's saying. All right, Dr. Hall, aye. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Ms. Chumley?
Aye.
Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
Congratulations. Yay, we have new
Thanks.
boundaries. Thank you, and thank you, Mr.
Dr. Hall.
Galindo.
Dr.
Hopefully they'll all.
Thank you all very much. And we wish you all, from myself and the rest of the committee, a very, very happy and safe holiday. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your break.
Thank you.
You as
Thank
well.
you. Take care. All right, we will now move to request for maximum class size waivers. Mr. Galindo.
Yes, ma'am. So as we did mentioned last month, we, although not necessarily bringing them to you for approval, we felt that we would, as we typically do, bring you a monthly report of class waivers. And so this month, after reviewing class lists, we do have 28 class lists that are exceeding the 22-1 and are here to report that. You may remember last month, it was the first installment, and we had a higher number, obviously 170, so much lower, and anticipate that it'll continue to stay low for the remainder of the year. No action needed.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, Superintendent, Dr. Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Harrell, I mentioned earlier the board's possible consideration of a resolution to support the notion of prioritizing school staff in the giving of COVID-related vaccines. So the state has convened a committee that's called the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel, or EVAP, to develop this recommendation to the Texas Commissioner of Health on the principles around which the vaccine will be guided. Several public figures have come out and I think wisely asked that teachers and other school staff who are in regular contact with students all day long be prioritized. The resolution that's before you is a TASB resolution that I altered a little bit to fit the Northside situation, and would ask for the board's consideration.
Dr. Harrell? I move approval.
Okay,
It absolutely makes sense.
It does. And if you read my Twitter, it does too. So,
Good.
is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Reed Seconded. We'll do a vote or any other discussion. I'm sorry, Bobby or Gerald. Okay.
I just had, I'm sorry, just real quick, just one question for Dr. Woods on it. And I should know this, but I don't. What's the timing for the committee you're talking about on, and what everybody thinks when that has to be done by, given where we are today? Congratulations.
Mr. Blunt, they've already made a first set of recommendations, but have additional work to do. And so obviously the initial set of recommendations is around healthcare direct service workers, but the tiers to come after that have not yet been decided. So that's the idea of trying to exert a little influence over that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bobby. Gerald, did you have a question? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and take a vote. Dr. Harrell, aye. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Ms. Chumbley?
Aye.
Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. So we will get that resolution taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Future agenda items, Dr. Woods.
Dr. Hall, the agenda items are attached. Just a note that the January meeting is a little early in the month because of Tacit TASB and my duties there. Ms. McGee did put at your place a copy of the teams that are still in the football playoffs, as Mr. Medina mentioned, and you've got the details of those games, should you wish to take a road trip this weekend. That's it, Dr. Hall.
Oh, okay, that was short. All right, well, let me, I did see a chat. Bobby wanted me to mention, and I'm sorry I missed it, that Mateo made over 1,000 masks.
1,000 masks?
1,000 masks.
Wow.
That was pretty doggone incredible. I don't know that answer. I don't know that answer. It is the Board of Trustees on December 15th, 2020, beginning at 7:34 p.m. Will convene in closed meeting in accordance with Texas Government Code. We will discuss several items A through, let's see, A through G will be appointments, H, superintendent mid-year review, superintendent contract, and then sites.
Do we have sites? No.
Gerald, I was looking at the daily count for I was looking at the daily count for COVID. It's 1359 today. Are you still muted, Gerald?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's spiking up. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, 1,300, you're right.
Today's Tuesday? Maybe it's Saturdays. It's like 3 days ago.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, the Board of Trustees on December 15th, 2020 at 8:34 PM will convene an open meeting. Action will be taken on appointments A through G, superintendent's mid-year review, superintendent's contract, and we didn't have sites, right? Right. Thank you. Thought maybe I zoned out. Okay. Do I have a motion before the board regarding the appointments? Okay, Ms. Reed has moved to approve appointments as presented in executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. Dr. Harrell? Aye. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye.
Ms. Chumbley? Aye. Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. The appointments have been approved. The superintendent mid-year review. And can we just combine that with the contract?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Dr. Harrell.
Yes, ma'am.
I motion to approve the superintendent's contract as we discussed in executive session. And I'm sorry, did you say we needed the review?
No.
But just for the record, that as board members, we would not want to work with anyone else as a superintendent of a school district other than Dr. Woods. Dr. Woods is doing a wonderful job, and we appreciate his leadership in Northside.
Ditto, ditto. Yes, and thank you, Ms. Freeman. And then Ms. Chumbley, did I hear a second when you were walking? Yeah, Ms. Chumbley seconded. All right, let's vote. Dr. Harrell, aye. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Medina?
Aye.
Mr. Lopez?
Mr.
Mr. Lopez?
Aye, I'm sorry. Aye.
No worries, no worries. Ms. Chumbley?
Aye.
Mr. Blunt?
Aye.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
Yay, and at 11:37, we adjourn.
Gerald, can you take that time?
8:37.
Oh, what did I say?
11.
Golly,
Thank goodness.
8:37, where
It's
did
not
that
11.
come from? Goodness.
Y'all have a happy holidays.
Happy, ho, ho, ho.
Thank you, everybody.
I got shorted oxygen with this mask. I think that's what it is. Yes.